Hey, Curtis.
Hey, Oz.
What do you got for us this week?
This week, I got a 5-part movie marriage. We've got Daredevil meets The Prestige, crossed with Heat, a pinch of 7 years in Tibet, and mixed with an ad for Hall's cough drops. This week, we've got 2005's Batman Begins.
That's a fitting 5. I would say like 3 or 4 of them are married, and then the ad is just like it's like the side girl.
Yeah, that's my tack on to the end for the yucks. That's the yuck factor.
Yeah,
but as I was coming up with
night.
them, it's like, oh, normally we try to stick with 3, but like,
they
all work.
They all work. Definitely. Welcome back to another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, the weekly podcast where, of course, we take a monthly theme. This month being Batman. And we each take turns, and this week is Curtis's week. He's bringing Batman Begins, the ongoing saga of Bruce Wayne reinventing himself, Groundhog Day style.
Yep. And for those of you who might be wondering, how come you're not doing Batman Returns? Because 2 weeks ago we did the 1966 Batman. Last week we did the 1989 Batman. However, our logic for Batman month is that the two Keaton, the Kilmer, and the Clooney Batman were all the same Batman.
Right.
Despite the fact that it was over 2 directors, Burton and Schumacher, everyone's favorite Batman director. That was all
Captain Neon.
Exactly. That was all the same Batman. So we're going to the next fictional Batman, the next Bat universe.
Yeah. And the reality of it, while we justified it that way, is there's way too many Batmen for a 4-week month. So
there's also that.
This is the way that we negotiated around it. So before we get too far into this week's episode, I want to give a shout out to Patreon subscribers Don S. and Melissa Hell.
Yeah.
Who I found out in a brief conversation with Don S. that they're in cahoots now. Did you know this?
They are now in cahoots.
Yeah.
They were chatting the other day, and it's like, Don S. Not that I know who Melissa L. is by
right.
Again, that's her fees go towards being able to watch the movie with me. So that she's on that tier in our Patreon.
Yeah. You can join it too.
So she knows Don S. basically better than I know Don S.
Which means we have a Let's Talk About Flicks universe now.
Let's talk about Flicksverse.
That's right, because there's the 2 of us and our 2 Patreon subscribers, and they have now touched base. So, yay?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
By the way, Don S., the more you talk to Melissa L., just wait for it. It's... Yeah.
That other shoe will drop.
Yes, so. It'll come down one of these days, and it'll hit you upside the head.
But we thank both of you for being loyal Patreon subscribers. You can find a link down below to join the fun and join the Patreon.
Join the family.
Join the Let's Talk About Flicksiverse. And who knows? Maybe you already know Don S. or Melissa L. and you could join in. You could join in with our loyal listeners.
Speaking of family, there, Don S. goes way back with a family connection.
He does. He does. That's how we got on his radar. So, and meanwhile, I bring nobody to the table.
Well, you're someone. And you know the connection with Don S. as well.
I do know the connection with Don S. I do know that. So, but thank you guys, and I say we get into this week's episode.
Let's get in there, Oz. I got the plot this week, so who do we have for characters in Batman Begins?
Before I jump into characters, I want to get into just a little observation I made when putting together this character list, and how I'm going to equate Hollywood today and Hollywood of yesteryear with the evolution or de-evolution of the WWE.
There's a lot of parallels there.
Yes, I feel, aside from the acting, but I feel that movies back in the day, and I don't care how far back you go, I feel like movies before everything had to be a box office hit. Back in the home video market days, I should say, when people when studios would make movies for quick release, they'd attach some B, maybe C level celebrity to it, and it would go straight to video, and it would grow some legs and earn some money and go that route. And so I equate that era with the WWF that you and I grew up with. Of each week there would be a wrestling show, one show on the weekend. Whether occasionally there'd be a Saturday night main event, but typically it was like Sunday morning.
I so look forward to the Saturday night main events.
Oh yeah, it was great. But the thing is you had multiple wrestling matches, minimal talking, and some of my favorite parts of the show, and I didn't really appreciate it then, but I do now, is you had jobbers. You had people that I loved it because they'd come back from the commercial and one of the wrestlers was already in the ring.
Was already in the ring. Yeah, no intro, no music. The Brooklyn Brawler was already in the ring.
Yes, or Iron Mike Sharp, or
I forgot about that guy,
or just really whatever like local guy wanted to get in the ring. And I loved it because they'd throw a Jake the Snake would come down and wrestle some jobber and make a match out of it. And it's like the WWE now is everybody has an entrance. Everybody's got entrance music. Everybody's a superstar. Like, and so with their biggest superstar, I feel like nobody's really a superstar. So the roundabout way here is when I'm putting together this cast of characters for 2005's Batman Begins, everybody on this cast is a somebody.
Yep. Yeah, you don't have Michael Gou as as Alfred or Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon.
Exactly. And so even if you go back to like Sean Connery's run of James Bond movies, if you pull out, you watch one of those with just an average movie fan, and you say, recognize anybody? They're going to go, yeah, that's Sean Connery. And that's it. Yeah. Like you and I would recognize a Christopher Lee, or we'd recognize a Donald Pleasance, or a Yaphet Kotto. But by and large, nobody else gets recognized because everybody's just a jobber. Yeah. The same way goes with like early the horror industry in particular. Like you put on Friday the 13th now, recognize anybody? Yeah, that's Kevin Bacon, and that's it. That's all you recognize. But you just can't. They don't do that today. No. Everything's got to be superstar laden, which makes everything big budget. Which means nobody can have no movie has a chance of striking out. Everything has to have a tentpole date. Everything has to have a big Hollywood release. That's why we don't have you've got the indies, but by and large, if it's coming out of Hollywood, it's going to go to a theater or it's going to make big bucks on streaming. But everybody in the cast is recognizable. Well,
and kind of going back to your analogy there with like, the studio just dropping kind of random movies. Sometimes they grow legs, sometimes they don't. And I am guilty of this to an extent, but like, you have your movie franchises, everything is a franchise now, of course you've got your Marvels, your Star-Lords, your Pixars, your DC, Indiana, there's going to be another Indiana Jones
Lord of the
coming
Rings,
out.
Your Game of Thrones.
And some of those are fantastic quality and done very well. But it shows that like there has to be these through lines because the studios are for more and more now than ever before, they want a safe bet to put out there. They want to make sure they make their money back or they profit. They're not going to take a chance throwing $60 million at some one-off movie that's not going to potentially be a part of a franchise.
Which is frustrating because we've known each other long enough that I really think a lot of where you and I mesh in filmography is those chances. Your Maximum Overdrive, your Repo Man, your The Thing, your Big Trouble Little China. Like, they got Hollywood releases, but they weren't ever really expected to make money. It was just back when film was cheap and actors were cheap, and if we can get a star and then a bunch of just union wage workers, we're good to go. But they don't have that, and it's missing. And so everything's got such high regard before it even comes out that some things are just doomed to fail because they're going to fail. Occasionally you catch lightning in a bottle and you got something that surprises you. But I think that just the merging of, like you said, we've got franchises, we've got universes, combined with we're also out of ideas.
Yeah.
Of like, let's bring back, let's remake Child's Play. Let's do that again. Let's make another Fletch movie. It's like, it's just this constant regurgitation of old ideas. And but it's like, I just feel it's so bizarre that how the people in charge of Hollywood seem so tone deaf about how Hollywood should work. It's like, they were a hit then because they were such a niche, and you're now taking that niche and you're trying to spread it out to everybody, and it's just not going to work.
If I had a nickel for every time over the past dozen years I ran into somebody on the street and they're like, you know what movie franchise we need to bring back? Fletch.
Yeah.
The drum beat for that movie has been beaten loud for years, folks. And finally, Fletch is back.
But like you said, we're coming back with another Indiana Jones. We're not reinventing it. We're going to go back to the well. We're coming out, Hollywood's coming out with another Beverly Hills Cop movie, and we're going to go dig out Judge Reinhold, and we're going to and it's like, that's fine.
We got another Bill and Ted movie a couple years ago.
Yeah,
and it was meh.
I watched the Coming to America sequel, and again, the same thing. It was meh. I enjoyed it for nostalgia purposes. The movie itself was terrible, but I really appreciated they made that movie and they hit everything. Like, at one point, they're back in the bar and do you remember with almost like the speed dating scene in the bar? And there was the two twins that were like beatboxing. Those two twins are back in a row.
Oh, really? Yeah, because I haven't seen the sequel yet.
Right. And so it's fun. It's not good, but it's fun. It's like they understood what they were doing there. Like, we're gonna make Coming to America. We're gonna do the same thing again. But you know what? Everything that was great about the first one, we're gonna sprinkle in here for our fans. And so, and I'm like, it is what it is. And I know we're being nitpicky, but that's what I felt like putting this cast of characters together.
Sure,
which I'm going to get to right now.
Yeah, who's in this movie, guys?
I separated this kind of the goods versus the bads. To try to keep the cast list somewhat small.
Sure.
We've got, on our good guys, we've got Batman Bruce Wayne, played by Christian Bale. His right-hand man / father figure, Alfred, played by Michael Caine, which I coincidentally right now I said my cocaine just so I could say his name the way he pronounces it.
Played by Michael Caine.
Yep. Rachel Dawes, played by Katie Holmes. Jim Gordon, played by the magnificent Gary Oldman, and Lucius Fox, played by everybody's Robin Hood sidekick, Morgan Freeman. So
Prince of Thieves.
Right. So those are the good guys. The bad guys are Ducard. I just left him as Ducard.
That's fair.
Ducard played by Liam Neeson. Dr. Crane / Scarecrow, played by Cillian Murphy. I love Cillian Murphy.
He's great.
Yeah. Ra's al Ghul, played by the very underrated Ken Watanabe, who I don't remember what movie came out shortly before this, but he was riding high on some movie that came out, and then it's like, we'll plug you in here for 8 minutes.
Sure.
And then then the baddie who thinks he's the baddest of them all, but actually is the least intimidating, is Carmine Falcone, played by Tom Wilkinson. So,
boy did Tom Wilkinson play that role. Don't come down here with your anger.
I'm fear. It's like, it's a reason why it's like they only shot him in like a bar / restaurant. It's because it's like, well, if you're gonna eat the scenery, we might as well sit you at the table.
Might as well put some food in front of you. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So Tom Wilkinson. It might as well have been Anthony Hopkins. So.
Yeah, Tony Hopkins meet Tom Wilkinson.
So those are the cast. It could have gone on and on.
Sure.
But I think those are the bread and butter of the role.
That works.
All right. Who do you got? What do we got for plot?
Let's jump into the plot, folks. We got a cool little scene, like at the beginning, with like bats flying to create the logo in the sky, like the bats cluster into a bat. I thought that's cool.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know it's probably completely practical. I don't think that was digitized.
Yeah, they were actually just doing some test shots, and you know,
bat wranglers.
Bats. By the way, folks, you may not realize this, but bats in the wild, they always fly in certain formations.
Yeah.
And they
very
make
symbolistic.
Yes, yeah. They just like Bruce Wayne, they love their symbols, and in this case, they flew together to form a bigger bat.
Yeah, it's fact.
It's the
you heard it here.
Psychology of bats. Look it up, folks.
Yeah, let's talk about facts.
That podcast drops Fridays, folks.
Right.
We got a little sequence between young Bruce and young Rachel playing finders keepers in the garden. Bruce falls into a well, like Timmy.
How did he not?
It's like Timmy falling into the well.
Right. And he should be dead.
Yes, he should. He fell like 30 feet.
That was a very long fall, and he just was like, ugh. Exactly. Yeah, it was quite the fall, but that's all right because Daddy was there to tell him it's okay.
It's okay, Bruce.
I remember when we when we saw this in the theater.
That's all we did for the next 6 months. It's okay, Bruce. It's okay.
It's okay, Bruce.
ASMR. It's okay, Bruce.
Yeah. Oh man, I do. I remember I leaned over and you about spit out your drink. Like, it was like the most like inopportune time. Yeah. It was not a funny moment, but
but we're jerks, so we made it funny.
Yeah.
It's okay, Bruce.
It's okay.
It's okay, Bruce.
Like lifted up his stethoscope. It's
okay. So little Timmy's in the well. And Lassie's not there to save him, so a bunch of bats fly in, and so Bruce that's where Bruce gets his fear of bats. Just to keep our storytelling a little more linear, I'm going to jump ahead in the film, but for the linear storytelling, later on in the film, we get the sequence where Bruce and his parents are going into the city. They're taking the new monorail system that Thomas Wayne funded. They go to the theater. And of course, in the theater, the performance is people dressed as bats, which freaks out Bruce, and they leave. And Joe Chill.
It's okay, Bruce.
it's okay, Bruce.
It's okay.
And so Joe Chill, the mugger, comes out, and one of the most famous scenes in comic book and film history. The how many rendition of this? Joe Chill mugs them, kills both parents, and in this one, as Thomas Wayne is lying there dying, looks up at Bruce and
says it's okay.
It's okay, Bruce. It's okay.
It's all right.
It's okay, Bruce.
Yeah, I'm good.
And even there's a little follow up to that, and again just to reinforce the fact that we're jerks and find humor in things that aren't humorous. Back at the station with young Bruce, Gordon comes up and sits down little Bruce, and it's okay. Even Gordon tells him it's okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's okay.
I love it too when the police chief comes in to this orphan child and says good news.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that at the same time. Good news. We got him.
We got him.
Oh, thanks. Is that gonna bring Mom and Dad back?
Right. We got good news, Bruce.
We got great news.
When you thought your life sucked, we got good news.
We got good news. I just saved 15% of my car insurance.
It's set up like a Geico commercial.
Well, your folks are still dead, but I'm saving $63 a month.
Right. What, you want to get away for a while?
Oh, moving on. We've got older, beardier Bruce waking up in a prison in Asia, I'm guessing.
By choice.
Somewhere in southern, western Asia. I don't know.
Tibet. I don't know.
It's somewhere. Yeah, somewhere where it's snowy, and it's not definitely not Eastern Asia, but yeah. And he's in a prison. The other inmates are coming after him, trying to make a name for themselves, going after Bruce Wayne there. And Bruce beats up like 6 guys. They throw him in solitary. And Henri Ducard, played by
Liam Neeson.
Yep. Played by Qui-Gon. Comes out of the shadow. I represent Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadows. I know who you are, Bruce, and I'm going to offer you a path to serve true justice with the League. And so Bruce is like, well, I got nothing else to do.
I've worn out my welcome here.
Yep. So, tomorrow, find a flower on the side of the road, climb up this mountain, and we'll talk. And so that's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Bruce picks this blue flower, goes up this mountain, and there he is. There's a big fortress on the top of this mountain. Henri Ducard is there.
He gets halfway up and almost like this little village, a couple of little,
huts.
And like the townspeople, like the residents are like, go back. Like,
turn back.
Yeah. And Bruce doesn't because curiosity killed the bat. So.
Well, I mean, what else is he going to do at this point? He's in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
He's already 3/4 of the way up the mountain.
I mean, he already picked his little blue flower. Was he going to go put it back?
He's already got his fear flower.
Yep, his fear flower. So they get up to this fortress, and Ducard's there, and Ra's al Ghul, Ken Watanabe, is there.
And a bunch of ninjas.
And a whole lot of ninjas. Yeah.
Bunch of ninjas.
Whole lot of ninjas. Bruce says, I seek the means to fight injustice, to turn fear against those who prey on the fearful. And Ducard tells them, well, to manipulate the fears of others, you must first master your own. And then attacks Bruce, who's been climbing up this mountain. He's wary.
Right.
He's still less than a day from getting beat up in prison.
Yeah, Bruce he actually looks at him. He's almost like, right now? Like, I'm tired.
Seriously?
Fear does not wait. And then, roundhouse kick in his suit.
It's okay, Bruce.
Yeah, it's okay. It's written on the bottom of his shoe.
Yeah. So later they start training. Bruce shares his guilt with Ducard over the death of his parents. Ducard's kind of a jerk. He keeps inferring that he knew of Bruce's father and that Bruce's father was weak. So there's kind of a through line there that they seed early on here.
That everybody could pick up, but Bruce apparently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they train. They're doing. There's that cool sword fight on ice sequence they have there.
It is cool.
Mm-hmm. The mind your surroundings, all that bit.
Bruce wasn't paying attention to the cracks of the ice. So idiot.
Ducard encourages Bruce to lean into his anger and seek vengeance. There's also some cool ninja stuff where,
who talks this way?
Liam Neeson does.
Right. Well, and Christian Bale, they show up and, why are you here? I'm here to face down justice in the
seek vengeance against those.
And I'm like, it's fine and all, but I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys are not Rhodes Scholars.
They pull their scrolls out with their quill pen.
Yeah, you guys speak like thesauruses. Like, come on.
Who talks like that?
Or nobody. We're smart guys and we don't even talk like that.
There is some cool ninja stuff there. Part of the training, in addition to the the sword fighting and the physical elements, Ducard is also teaching Bruce about using explosive powders for the purpose of deception, misdirection, theatricality, sort of creating a symbol, creating a persona for yourself. Yeah. There are also those cool metal gauntlets. Also, with the hooks on them. Yeah, really cool. There's another kind of flashback from the flashback then. He's home from college. Bruce is back from college. And
he's still Christian Bale's age, though.
Yeah, but he has bangs. He has bangs here, so he looks younger.
He has bangs and like a peak coat, so he's college Bruce.
Yep, he's got the peak coat. He's got bangs. He's in college. Clearly, he's younger because those are the things that college people do.
I really enjoy this movie. I would have loved it if they still had. If they had Bruce portray young Bruce, like how they had John C. Reilly portray young Dewey.
Yeah. I'm Dewey's 12-year-old girlfriend.
Christian Bale pretending to be a 9-year-old is chasing around this little 9-year-old girl.
Chasing around young Rachel. Falls in the well.
Yeah. I would have been great, but maybe next time, Christopher Nolan.
So Bruce, college age Bruce, comes back to town because Joe Chill is potentially gonna get released. He was prison mates with Gotham mobster Carmine Falcone, and he's got some dirt on him. So they're letting Joe Chill, who killed Bruce's parents, testify against Joe Chill to reduce his sentence. Bruce brings a gun. He was planning on gunning this guy down right there, broad daylight, in the middle of the courtroom.
Takes one to know one.
Yeah, that's vengeance right there.
Yeah, that's right.
And instead, Joe Chill gets murdered by one of Falcone's goons. And then, Falcone, he's back at his place in Lower Wacker Drive in Chicago.
Right. Yeah. He's just living it up.
Yeah.
He's surrounded by, city councilmen and the Judge Fagan, and he's got them all on the payroll.
He's got this den.
This is his town.
Yeah. Bruce walks in to confront him, and this is a word you don't understand. Don't come down here with your anger. Oh, Tom Wilkinson. Yep.
Points a gun right in his face.
Yeah. Well, your family, your little DA girlfriend. Bang!
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 I wish there was a little flag that said bang.
Yeah, they came out, yeah. And so that's when Bruce ended up running off for 7 years to his 7 years in Tibet to go train, and
not before he gives his last prized possession, his coat.
Yep.
Gives his coat to a homeless guy.
Yep.
And all his cash. But
so back to the present. Ducard kind of has like a pestle and mortar, and he takes that blue flower that Bruce brought up, and he turns it into like he pestles it up, and he turns it into like a hallucinogen. I love the sequences in this film, Oz, where you get the POV shots of the people under the hallucinogen. Yeah,
they're really cool. And it's just the camera work that goes into it too. It's tricky editing to do that like twitchy effect, but keep your subject still in focus. And so I do too. I really enjoyed them.
Yeah. So basically, Bruce is now hallucinating under the effects of this drug, and then he has to face this challenge of Ducard like stepping in and out of 20 other ninjas, concealing himself and then attacking Bruce. And Bruce ends up identifying who he is out of this mishmash of ninjas. Now, they tell him, Roz and Ducard are like, hey, you are ready to lead the League of Shadows. You're gonna be our general in the front line with these ninjas, taking down worldwide societies. And to prove it, your last thing you got to do, you got to kill this guy.
You stole a chicken.
Yeah, you gotta kill this local.
Right.
And Bruce is like, nah, brah, I'm not gonna do it.
Sorry.
Nah, brah.
I'm out.
I'm out. Be 5,000.
Bye, Felicia.
So Bruce,
the kids still say all that, right?
They do. I heard several of the kids say it just yesterday at the school I work at.
To you, because that's how you speak to children.
That's exactly how I speak to children. Like it's 1998.
Yeah, Seacrest out.
Yeah, the kids love that in the high school I work at.
I think it's like Steve Buscemi to skateboard.
Hey, local youths.
Hello, fellow young people.
So Bruce says no, he's not going to kill this guy, and instead he flicks this hot embers into the explosives.
They're gonna brand him.
Yeah. So the place is immediately just going up like a fireworks factory.
It's a gas castle.
It's like the fireworks factory in A Naked Gun, where nothing to see here. Please disperse.
I'm here for the gasoline.
Nice.
It's just it does. It's like they made their fortress of wicker.
Wicker and sparklers.
I know. It went up in a hurry.
Those are load-bearing sparklers.
Right, yeah. Load-bearing sparkler.
So this place is going up. Ducard gets knocked out. Roz looks like he dies. Like this big burning log basically falls on him, and so he's done. And so Bruce grabs Ducard's unconscious body and gets him out of there. He saves Ducard, but then he leaves. Alfred picks him up in some private jet and some runway in the middle of nowhere, and back to Gotham.
I may have forgotten. Did we see that phone call to Alfred?
No, we didn't.
Like,
No.
Okay, so
No.
Alfred just he's probably set up the bat signal.
He did. You could see it from Nepal.
Yeah.
So back in Gotham, we get to know Rachel Dawes a little bit better. She's an assistant DA, and she's confronting local psychiatrist Jonathan Crane, played by, is it Cillian or Cillian? I don't know.
I've always heard Cillian, but
Okay.
Either way.
Played by C. Murphy.
Yeah, that's right.
And she's mad at him. He declared another one of Falcone's goons insane and moved to his asylum. And like, this is the third time this has happened. What's going on here, Crane? And so later, Falcone confronts Crane. Yeah,
it is Cillian.
It's a hard C.
It's like a hard K. I just looked it up phonetically on Wikipedia.
Okay. Cillian Murphy, like Killian's red.
Cillian. That's right. He's an Irish actor, so that's why it's Cillian.
There's some like 80s or 90s action movie where the bad guy's name is Cillian, and I can't remember what it is. It's not it's not Running Man, is it? Is there a Cillian in Running Man?
No, I don't think so.
It sounds like the name of a bad guy. Like every 80s bad guy should be named Cillian.
Right.
So anyways, so we get to know them a little bit. Falcone confronts Crane, like, this DA sniffing around a little bit too much. You still want your shipments, right? So Crane, through Falcone, is having these drugs shipped in. Crane infers that there's a he who's behind this, who's pulling his strings. And so, that'll definitely come back later here.
It's a small world after all.
It is. It's okay, Bruce.
It's okay.
So back at Wayne Manor, Bruce sees a bat trapped in his room, and he gets an idea. From watching this bat. I wonder where this is going, Oz.
I don't know.
Alfred says that this bat's it here again. They're nesting on the ground, and so Bruce is like, huh. He goes down the same well that little Timmy fell into when he was 8. Right. And this is where I'm going to set up shop. This is going to be my cave.
Right here at the bottom of the well.
Yep.
It's a little tight, but it's like Steve Martin like falling in love with the cleaning supply closet in The Jerk.
Yeah. So, yeah. This is where he's going to set up shop. Bruce that night puts on some like body armor and a ski mask. And he goes and he finds Gordon. He's trying to shake Gordon down for some info, as well as kind of get an ally there, right, Oz?
Very much so. And again, just like last week, this is obviously like the beginnings of Batman. We talked about that, with Keaton's Batman. He'd been like breaking up small crimes. Like he was enough that the police were aware of him, but that they were unsure of his motives. And so we're really even earlier in the play here of, like Wayne's got some interest in what's going on with organized crime, and of course he's got a little insider with Dawes at the DA. Yep. And so, but he sniffs out very quickly that Jim Gordon he's a straight cop. He's not on anybody's payroll, and so he may be the link to getting in, getting the information I need, having somebody on the inside, which is kind of ironic because every other cop seems to be on Falcone's payroll, and Gordon kind of, indirectly is now on Bruce Wayne's payroll, kind of. Only he's not getting paid. It's just because they stand for justice. Yeah.
So he's found an ally in Jim Gordon, Sergeant Gordon. Next day at Wayne Enterprises, Bruce goes in to talk to Rutger Hauer, Roy Batty. Yeah. who's been running Wayne Enterprises. And I don't care about leading the company right now. I want to get to know the company that my father built, and Rutger Hauer's like, we're going to make it public soon anyway, so shares are going to get bought out. You wouldn't understand that technical stuff. Yeah,
that's too. Yeah, what do you know? Yeah, you don't know anything.
Yeah,
Rutger Hauer's very slimy.
Yeah, he is.
He's probably your stereotypical like CEO. Not, I don't even know if he's CEO, but just like,
evil businessman.
Yeah, he's your evil businessman.
Evil, greedy businessman.
Yep.
And so Bruce is like, applied science. That department sounds good. And so he goes down and he meets Morgan Freeman down there. He meets Lucius Fox, who's basically got a drawer full of kooky military-grade inventions that were too expensive for the military to purchase.
Yeah.
But
he is the cue to Batman's James Bond. He's the one with all the fun. Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Exactly. CO2 powered grappling guns, military grade body armor, potentially the tumbler.
I was going to say the tumbler.
The tumbler.
not a series of plastic cups that you get at Pizza Hut, but a four-wheeled tank.
Yeah. So Bruce has got these weapons now, and he and Alfred are working together to acquire more tech and more info and
build out the costume.
Yeah. And so, kind of from the information Gordon gave him, Bruce figures out that the shipments are coming in through the docks, and so we get an incredibly fun little horror sequence here, Oz.
Oh yeah,
where Batman makes his first appearance down at the docks. Falcone is there because this is a big shipment coming in, and also Flass, who's Gordon's super dirty cop partner, is there overseeing everything. A little extra muscle, a little extra protection, and we see Batman for the first time. It is a horror sequence.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the goons goes look in one of the cans, and the big, the big storage containers, and Batman's already inside of it. Yanks him in. It's just this fun little, playing on the fear, which is it's by far the very obvious underlying tone and theme of the movie is fear, 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 fear. So here's Batman and his first attempt to inflict fear upon the bad guys.
Yeah, and he does it. We got one of those fun sequences. It's kind of a callback to the '89 Keaton movie in a way, where there's a bad guy who's kind of backing up. He's backing up in the frame. Where are you? And he bumps right into Batman.
Right
here.
Yeah, we get the same thing when Falcone is he's the only one left. He's in the limousine, and he's saying to himself, who is this guy? And then Batman yanks him up through the sunroof, and I'm Batman. And then they take off. I see Batman has increased the weight limit of his grappling hook.
Yep,
it couldn't carry Vicky Vale last week, but it can carry Tom Wilkinson this week.
Yep, straps him to a spotlight, and it just so happens that as he's slumped over the spotlight, it kind of looks in the shape of a bat, which is I thought kind of a cool intro for that.
Yeah, it was.
Some goons go after Rachel. She's taking the train home, and Batman takes out the goons that Falcone sent to kill her. And he gives Rachel some dirty pictures of the dirty judge to try to get leverage on this guy, because again, you need leverage against Falcone.
It was probably let's specify. It wasn't like dirty pictures of him, like him posing in lingerie.
Well, I think some kind of. Yeah,
it was him up to no good.
Yes.
He shows up, like he comes down dressed as a man, and he dressed like a human bat, and he just hands these like nudie pictures of a big overweight judge.
You're gonna like these, Rachel.
She shoots him with her taser, and it doesn't faze him, and instead he hands her like softcore porn photos. Take a look at these.
You might want to show these to his wife.
Right. I could get you more.
So the next day, Bruce wakes up at 3 p.m. Alfred wakes him up. He immediately drops to the floor to do push-ups. And then
I've tried to do that. I can't do it now. I've tried doing that.
It fall straight over like 90 degrees, just straight out. Yeah.
Shortly after this is out, I'm like, that looks cool. I wonder how practical that is. Christian Bale and his build can do it. If you're not quite in Christian Bale's shape, I recommend not trying it.
2 broken wrists later.
Right? Yeah, like my shoulders shot back out my skin. I looked like Pumpkinhead when I stood up.
Nice chicken wings.
Who got to you, Bob Backlund?
Nice. Alfred tells Bruce that, Bruce Wayne basically needs an alibi. You're this rich guy who does nothing. People might start putting two and two together, which we were talking about pre-show about how this movie is very grounded in reality and science.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's an eventuality that, you poke holes in the whole Bruce Wayne Batman mythos. Like, you're this rich guy. How many people have the resources to be Batman?
Right. Well, and I even joked about it last week of, how Bruce Wayne, before he was Batman, already had a Batmobile, already had the Batplane. Mm-hmm. And they're shaped the way they are. It's like, where did you get those things before? Mm-hmm. But they do a much better job of, in the Nolan universe, of grounding it in reality. I mean, nobody is larger than life. Yeah. Everybody is human, and it's just based in something that's believable.
Yeah. So basically, he turns Bruce Wayne into a character, into a different kind of symbol, a bumbling, narcissistic, shallow playboy. Because it cuts to him basically being out on the time with a woman on each arm and a fancy car. He
buys the hotel when they tell him that your dates can't swim in the pool. Well, I'm going to buy the hotel then.
Yeah. Runs into,
because that's what you got to do. You just write a check to the waiter.
Yeah.
And
just put it in his pocket. Yeah.
Yeah.
Runs into Rachel, who basically he wants to tell her that this isn't me, but he can't without revealing himself. And she says to him, "It's not who you are underneath; it's what you do that defines you." A line we'll hear again a little later in the movie. We also find out that Wayne Enterprises had a big shipping boat that was intercepted, and a microwave transmitter, something that quickly evaporates the water in the area, was taken. I wonder if that's going to come back also, Oz.
I don't know. Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anything in this movie that actually ties itself up at the end.
Yeah, so. Never. Not in a Chris Nolan movie.
No.
Crane. We get back to him. I love Cillian Murphy in this movie. So good.
Too.
This is despite the fact that Tom Wilkinson is awful in this movie. I love this scene where he goes to Falcone in prison, and Falcone's kind of is kind of shaken.
Lock me up. I'm crazy. I can't take it in here. He's almost like he's making fun of himself for going overboard. Like he's comically going overboard.
He's doing a caricature of his own awful performance. Yeah.
Exactly. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, exactly. And so Falcone tells Crane, you got to help me out. Otherwise, I know about your shipments that are coming in. That's I can bring you down from the inside. No problem. Right. And so Crane looks super annoyed. Would you like to see my mask?
Right. It's such just a weird, just timing and question of it.
Let
me show you something. Let me show you my mask.
And I love how Cillian Murphy, he's clearly annoyed and upset that this guy got the upper hand on him. So,
right.
Would you like to see my mask?
Yeah. Okay. Your time's up.
So he gasses Falcone with this same hallucinogen, a more concentrated version of it. And then you get the POV shot of Falcone just freaking out, and a moment of what it looks like to Falcone, what Crane looks like with this potato sack mask on.
Yeah. And I mean the mask itself is creepy enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely what everybody sees when they look at him that drives that fear.
Yeah.
Such a cool scene. All the scene, like you said earlier, all the scenes where you get the fear toxin and then the point of view afterwards are so cool.
Batman visits Gordon at home to build trust. Gordon says you should talk to my partner, who Batman does, and then we get another little good movie trailer moment here. Where are the other drugs going? Oh, I don't know. I swear to God. Swear to me.
Okay, I swear to Batman. I don't know where they are.
You're my new deity.
I want to consider you a demigod, though.
I worship at your altar.
Where can I tithe?
You beat me to it. I was just going to go tithing. There's 10% of my annual income.
But I'm Bruce Wayne. I don't need it. Oh, sorry.
I'm getting mixed up in my personas.
I'm sorry, Father. Call me Bat Dad.
No, Oh, I love that. That is one of Melissa L's favorite South Park sequences. Is the fight at the end of that episode where the boys are trying to not win in baseball.
Right,
And,
right.
Is it what's Stan's dad's name? Oh, I'm blanking. Randy gets in the fight with Bat Dad.
Yeah.
He's saying, "I'm the best around," as his pants just fall off.
He's singing it to himself.
He's singing it out loud, and his pants just fall off as he's punching this guy in the face. Whoop. Oh, that's a South Park reference, folks, if you didn't catch on to that.
Right.
But,
That's our Tuesday show.
Yeah. Let's talk about South Park.
Right.
Batman goes down to the Narrows to investigate the drugs. Crane is there with his henchmen. Basically, Crane gets the drop on Batman, gasses him, douses him with accelerant, lights him on fire. Batman basically has to jump out the window of like a 3-story building. Thankfully, it's raining outside. Yeah.
Yeah, he pinballs himself off the landings.
Yeah. He's able to call Alfred on a cell phone, like a flip phone.
My favorite part of that Narrows scene is, of course, Batman's there being his detective self. Mm-hmm. They show up, and one henchman goes into the bathroom, and Batman slams his head against the mirror. Then they cut back to the other henchman and Crane. And the henchman goes to investigate, and I've always loved it. Crane immediately, they're both facing the same direction. Henchman goes forward, Crane exits stage left. He's going straight to the mask, straight to his weaponized hallucinogen. I've always, it's so brief and really not even noticeable, but it just shows how far advanced Crane is as a thinker. That something like immediately, that's not what I was expecting. I better suit up. And it worked for him. Like you said, that's what allowed him to get the drop on Batman. And it's unfortunately though, Batman's biggest fear is bats, which he's already faced. So
so sorry, being lit on fire just isn't gonna scare Batman. You think?
Oh no, I see myself.
So Alfred picks him up. Bruce wakes up 2 days later.
Yeah.
With Alfred and Lucius by his side. Lucius was able to synthesize an antidote. It also happens to be Bruce's birthday that night. Big birthday party.
Happy birthday, Bruce.
Yep. So Rachel stops by and basically says, like, hey, I got to go check out the Narrows for my job. I know Falcone's down there. There's stuff going on. And Bruce, I can't come to your birthday. And Bruce is like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sad. Okay.
Right. But thanks for giving me back the arrowhead that I broke my leg over.
Yeah.
Like, she held on to it for that many years. Like, I know he was gone for a while, but like 9-year-old Rachel should have given it back to him, like, as he's recuperating from a broken leg or whatever it was when he was a kid.
That would have been the kind thing to do. You fell down a well. Here's the arrowhead.
But instead, she was pure. You said finders keepers, so this is mine now.
I found it. I keep it, despite your broken leg.
I fell down a well and broke my leg. Finders keepers, Bruce.
Your parents are dead. Finders keepers.
Right. Could have given it to you then as well. But nope.
Finders keepers. And so she leaves, and he immediately goes and takes off because he knows that she's in danger. Like, it's the Narrows. That's where everything bad is
going to
happening.
the Narrows. Yeah.
And Alfred's like, what about your party? Bruce has to be here to keep the ruse up. And he's like, I'll be back. He says, I love this little line, tell him that joke you know.
Tell him that joke you know. I did too. I always appreciate that. It's just so, like, it just gives so much, little things like that just give so much personality.
Yeah, it does.
Between the relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
I've already joked earlier, it's like, everybody's talking like this Rhodes Scholar with a thesaurus. Like, nobody's just witty and bantery, but Bruce is comfortable enough with Alfred to be like, you got this. Just tell him that joke you know.
So Rachel goes down to Arkham, and basically Crane, she's got stuff on him. He's basically like, okay, and he just brings her and shows her where they're dumping gallons of medicine into Gotham's water supply. This is where we make the medicine.
Yeah. He
gasses her with a super heavy dose of that same hallucinogen. And then the lights go out, and again, Cillian Murphy at his best. Like, all the other guys are freaking out, and Crane just like, he's here, the Batman.
Yeah, he's so confident. Like, He's just it just oozes out of him the confidence that
Yeah.
he has. He feels he's complete control over everything thus far.
Yeah.
Of course, he has no idea about the antidote that Fox has
Yes.
developed. So he's got every reason to think that he's the winner.
So Crane tells his men, call the police. And they're like, seriously? You want them coming here? It's like, yeah, we're done. We've been doing this for weeks.
It's too late. Nothing they can do now.
We've been doing this for weeks. We're good. And so they call the police. They come. They surround the building. Let's see. Batman gasses Crane in a great sequence of what Crane sees Batman as Batman's shaking him down.
It's just like looks like this like living gargoyle.
Yeah.
Like,
it looks so cool.
Yeah.
So the police surround him. Gordon runs in by himself. Everybody else is like, we're waiting for SWAT for this one guy.
Waiting for backup.
Yeah. In the meantime, Rachel's slipping away. You know, she got gassed really heavily, and Batman has this sonic device that basically calls bats from miles around in, and so the bats surround him and cover his escape.
Yeah.
While
as Gordon says, "What are you waiting for? Backup."
Backup.
Like, you know, it's like, yeah. Everybody's waiting on backup. We get it.
Yeah. Here comes your thousands of bats.
Yeah.
And so basically, he gets Rachel in the tumbler, and we get a great car chase sequence in the tumbler.
Oh yeah.
He's jumping the tumbler from a parking garage to the roofs of different buildings.
Right.
And eventually,
they're like he's flying.
He's flying on rooftops. He ends up in Lower Wacker Drive because there's a Lower Wacker Drive in Gotham City. He ends up on the Eisenhower Expressway because there's an Eisenhower Expressway.
Right.
I even love how he's heading west out of Gotham. Like, yeah, he's on the Eisenhower. Like,
Yeah, that's where he's at.
He's on the Eisenhower. And so he gets.
I was waiting for a Biddy's Beverage Depot van to drive by.
he goes through the Portillo's drive-through.
Right, they throw Lakeshore Drive on the soundtrack. Like,
He's listening to XRT. Like,
right, it's Mad Cow in the morning.
Man, cow. He's got the score on. Any other Chicago reference?
Right.
So basically, he gets her back to the Batcave. He's able to get her another dose of Lucius's antidote.
Not before he yells, "Rachel, Rachel!" like that, like she's just fallen asleep and he's trying to wake her back up. No, she's passing out.
Yeah.
Because there's no way she can know that he knows her name.
Yeah.
It's like he didn't say it in your Bruce Wayne voice.
Yeah. So we get a quick little exposition scene here as we kind of start hitting the third act. Back at Crane's drug lab, Gordon and a police detective scientist, I don't know, are like, well, they've been putting this stuff in the water for weeks. How come we haven't felt the effects? Well, it has to be absorbed through the lungs.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the science update and exposition update.
Right.
And that's important.
Well, then we're okay then.
Yeah.
Unless you've lost
Yeah.
a dehydrator, what they call it. It's not a dehydrator. But
The microwave emitter, is that it?
microwave emitter, yeah.
But it basically is a dehydrator.
Basically, yeah. You can make jerky and fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's nice.
Apricots.
Right.
Or apricots, depending on where you live.
It's true. Right.
So Bruce is back home. He goes upstairs to the party. Alfred's mad. I'm afraid that you're getting lost inside this monster of yours. Bruce runs into Fox, and Bruce is like, you need to get back to Wayne Enterprises and make more antidote. And Fox, of course, doesn't question him. He just goes.
Yeah, because...
So basically, they figure out the plan. So the plan is the drugs are in the water, and they're going to use this stolen microwave emitter, which Fox tells Bruce about, to evaporate the drugs, and everybody in the city will breathe it in at the same time and go nuts. So in the middle of this party, Ducard shows up. He's alive, Oz.
Yeah.
And it turns out...
Some random rich blonde is like, oh, Mr. Wayne, I'd like you to meet Ra's al Ghul.
Mr. Ra's al Ghul.
Right. Turns around and he looks like the first guy that tried to beat him up at that like Tibetan prison.
Yeah.
Like,
Monk number 3.
It's his turn to be Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, they're there, and they're going to either recruit Bruce or they're going to take him out, knowing that he's the only one that can probably stop him.
Yeah.
Bruce, to save the people that are there, pretends to be drunk and kicks everybody out.
Right.
ruining his reputation, but saving the people there that are in attendance. And so they attack him. They set the place on fire, kind of similar to how the first Roz or the first fake Roz, maybe, depending on perspective.
Yeah.
You know, was Ducard Roz the whole time?
Well, and it's like, I think, I wouldn't even say he's probably Roz, because he gave this big, long, elaborate speech about basically being a symbol.
Yeah.
And I think Roz is just that symbol.
Yeah,
and
it's a name, not a person.
Yeah, I would say Ducard is
title.
probably, yeah. And so, Ducard is probably the Ra's al Ghul that we're all concerned with, but at the same time, it's more what it represents than who it is.
So basically, Crane learned how to weaponize and aerosolize that blue flower from the beginning of the movie, and so that's the drugs that have been coming in. Ducard says that we're gonna kill everybody in Gotham. We're gonna return it to balance. We were gonna do this a couple decades ago, but philanthropists like your father got in the way. Yeah. So that's why, from the beginning of the movie, Ducard was so upset at the Wayne family. Thought he was weak.
Right.
Got
He's
in
playing
the way.
the long game too.
Yeah, he was. So basically, Bruce gets knocked out. Alfred brings him down to the Batcave. Ducard and his men go into the city. They free all the inmates at Arkham, inmates at the prison. So they're all there. They're all in the Narrows in this central part of the city. So yeah, he suits up and he's off. So we're clearly in Act 3 here, Oz. We're in the climax of the film. Rachel gives Gordon a dose of the antidote. Ducard's men arrive. They put the transmitter on a train. They set it off. Everybody in the Narrows goes crazy. There's police there.
Oh yeah.
All these inmates from Arkham got freed. There's residents. All the police are there, and they raise the bridges to try to lock everybody, like all these escapees there. So all of like the tactical police force is there, and they're all now hallucinating.
Yeah, everybody's seeing their biggest fear.
Yep.
I thought the coolest one was was it a cop on a horse?
It was Crane on a horse.
Oh, Crane on a horse.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
But looking at it, it's like he had red eyes, and it was really cool looking.
Yeah, and like the horse was, the horse was like breathing fire.
Yeah.
Batman briefly runs into Rachel, and she's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "It's not who I am underneath. It's what I do that defines me."
I'm trying to fight all the crime in the world right now, but I remembered line for line what you told me on my birthday.
Yep. So she knows he's Batman now.
Bruce.
Great point of view shot of him in his cape, sort of like hovering over everybody in the Narrows, kind of scared him away.
Yeah, this is what I was thinking. It's like they look up and everybody sees like this demon bat.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
So he ends up on the train with Ducard again. So again, Ducard's got the transmitter on the train. They're going to take the train to the middle of the city, and it'll set off, this drug that's in the water supply citywide, as opposed to just this one section that's already been infected. And so I love Ducard makes a little quip to him. You took my advice about theatricality a bit literally. I love that line. And so they get in a big fight. In the meantime, Batman had given Gordon the keys to the tumbler, to the Batmobile. Yeah. Like, you got to get ahead of the train, and you got to take out the train tracks. Like, you got to bring this down.
Yeah, because if this train gets to the Wayne building, we're done. Yeah, there's no way out of it.
Yeah. Something I'm going to re-reference here in a few minutes. I'll briefly mention it now. You got the public works guys doing exposition in the meantime as well. If that train reaches the city center, then I'm gonna come back to that one in a few minutes.
Fair enough.
Yeah, if it reaches the main tower, the whole city will go.
Well, thanks, Norm. I hadn't thought of that.
How about we go grab an Italian beef and Ditkins?
Daubers.
So basically, Batman and Ducard get into a big fight on the train. Gordon is able to take out the train tracks. Batman kind of beats up Ducard and says, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm not going to save you. And so,
oh, there's a pretty moral gray area there.
yeah. Is that how that works? Meh.
I'm not gonna kill you, but I will let you die.
Yeah.
And be okay with it.
Yes. So Batman basically,
I didn't do it.
yeah, it wasn't me. So he jumps off the train, and Ducard/Roz plummets to his death. The microwave transmitter blows up, and the city is saved.
Yay!
We got a couple quick little epilogue sequences here, Oz. Bruce ended up buying the majority shares in Wen Enterprises and kind of rubbed it in Rutger Hauer's face.
He didn't give him the memo.
Yeah. So, and then he fires Earl.
Another instance where we drop a line earlier in the film that gets to repurpose itself later on.
So Earl's
goes
fired.
Around, comes around.
Yep, he puts Fox in charge, and Fox had been fired by Earl a little earlier as well.
Yeah, because he didn't give him the memo.
Yep. At Wayne Manor, Bruce sealed up the well. He and Rachel share a moment and a kiss. Gordon creates the bat signal, and there's a little preview of the Dark Knight. There's this loony who's running around. He left his colleague card, the Joker card, at the scene.
Right. I just picture the Joker like going to different, like going to Walgreens or CVS and buying up all their decks of cards just to take the 2 Joker cards out.
He returns it, gets his money back.
Nobody uses the Joker card.
This deck feels a little lighter. Oh no, I never touched it.
It wasn't me.
And that's basically it, Oz. That's Batman Begins, Christopher Nolan's 2005 movie. At this point in the show, folks, Oz and I give our own unique rating to the movie we've been yapping about. Oz, how would you rate Batman Begins?
How would I would rate Batman Begins. I'm just gonna give it a 9.5.
Just
normally we tie it to something. I'm just gonna give it a number. I enjoy this and appreciate this movie so much. He nailed it. Nolan just nailed it. So,
great movie.
I'm going to give it a 9.5.
We were talking.
No joking aside. We
were talking a little pre-show that in some ways I enjoy this movie more than the more acclaimed The Dark Knight. And that's not disrespecting The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight gets really heavy in some points, especially towards the end with some of the Two-Face stuff, to the point that it's almost tough for me to watch it. And this movie has some little levity moments and whatnot. It's I don't know. It's an easier, more comfortable watch. It doesn't mean it's a better movie, but
it's Batman's just beginning.
That's it. The Dark Knight, also known as Batman Midlife, and then The Dark Knight Rises as Batman Ends.
Yeah, like it's he's just beginning to develop the gravel in his voice. The next 2 movies is pretty much unintelligible. Like he just spits out rocks.
Swear to me.
What? I want an Egg McMuffin.
It's like he's constantly the person on the other end talking back.
Right? It's Charlie Brown's teacher.
Yeah.
It's all trombone sounding.
I'm going to rate this movie as I'm going to give it 1 gigantic drawer full of Kevlar armor.
Okay.
That was a really big drawer.
It was a very long drawer.
Yes.
Back up, Bruce. I need to pull this drawer out.
I know, right? That's not your like standard file cabinet that you get from Office Depot.
No.
Next up in the rundown here, folks, we have Outside Insight, where Oz and I each bring some unprofessional review we found from the interwebs that just happens to make us chuckle. Oz, what's your Outside Insight?
Mine is a half-star review on the rewatch by Dylan Jack Movies on Letterboxd.
Dylan Jack Movies.
Yeah, he'd rewatched it and then gave it a half-star. Capital. Worst Batman movie ever.
Wow.
Sure, the backstory of Bruce is good, but the darn cinematography and villain are not good. Every time I go watch the Batman movies, this is the one I get least excited for. So, he's a purist. He'll watch the movies, hates this one, but he'll watch it anyway.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't have Joker or Catwoman in it, so how could it be good?
So, the reason I picked this one is for this the cinematography and villain are not good. I did a little extra research. Batman Begins was nominated for 1 Oscar. Cinematography.
Not good. Not according to this guy.
Yeah,
not according to, what is it, like Kevin Jack movie or whatever?
Yeah, Dylan Jack movies.
Sorry,
yeah.
Dylan Jack movies.
But yes, it was nominated for 1 Oscar. That Oscar was cinematography. But it's the worst Batman movie ever.
Particularly
the Schumacher movies have better cinematography than this one. So
I'd rather watch the rubber ice flail around in the scene than Batman and Robin.
Be cool,
everyone, chill.
So, how about you? What's your outside insight?
My outside insight comes from the Internet Movie Database. 1 star out of 10. This is Dream X1, or perhaps it's a Dream Zone, maybe 5. Utter waste of time. A lot of little fanboys rigging the rating for this lackluster sequel. First of all, it's not a sequel, but...
No, it's literally called Begin.
Yeah. It's a complete joke. Christian Bale was basically playing his American Psycho character in a bat suit. Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman were brought in as window dressing. All I kept thinking the whole time he was on screen is, why is he in a Batman film? Is this really a Batman film? Oh, the agony of it all. This movie sucked, and the fanboys just can't admit to themselves.
The agony.
The agony. Oh, the agony. Won't someone please think of the children? Where's my pearl necklace for me to clutch? Oh. Heavens to Betsy.
Oh, Ralphie's gone blind.
It was soap poisoning.
Take that, Black Bart.
That soap was probably laced with Smilex.
The agony.
Oh, the agony of it all. Dream Zone 5. Oh, the agony.
Fanboys, please admit it.
Oh, and folks, we're at that point of the show you've all been waiting for, our signature segment, the 3, 2, 1, in which Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the movie we've been talking about, in this case, 2005's Batman Begins. Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first one, I love the scale of this movie. Like, everything in 89 Batman was huge, but everything in 89 Batman was still in Gotham. Mm-hmm. Whereas this movie, we traverse the globe a little bit.
It's global. It's literally a global movie.
And we still flesh out Gotham. Like, we've got Arkham. We've got, it's just scale. It's big, but it's not grand. It feels like Chicago.
I wonder why it feels like Chicago. By the way, folks, we've been referencing Chicago a lot. Most of this movie was shot in Chicago. Yeah. So if there's a reason why it looks like Chicago.
Just the first 2, though. The first 2 movies were shot in Chicago. Yes. The third one, I think, they went Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yes. That's why Heinz Ward was there. The football scene was at Heinz Field. Different Heinz.
Yeah. It's his.
They named it after him. He's that good.
They gave it to him. Yeah. And so, no, I love the scale of this movie. Yeah. It feels there's room. Like, especially 2 weeks ago, like, the Rogues Gallery were basically, they were in like a tiki bar or a submarine for the entire movie. Like, it feels like there's room to breathe, there's room to move around, and it really adds some scale to the movie.
Yes.
2, Christian Bale is my favorite Bruce Wayne. And you made a reference to it in your outside insight. I really think him playing Patrick Bateman in American Psycho helped him. Just because he has played that, holier than thou, rich, snobby, and it helped us believe he could be Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. Behind the cowl, whatever, because realistically, it's stuntmen doing a lot of the work anyway. But Adam West was great as Bruce Wayne, but that's such a campy.
Yeah.
And I played it, I talked last week how, Michael Keaton was basically Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne. But I really feel Bale, he looked the part. He fit it. And so that's my second. I just think this is the best Bruce Wayne performance we've covered so far.
Yes.
And third is, I really, really liked the portrayal of how thin the line is between what Batman's doing and what Ducard is doing.
Sure.
the fact that they played it up that they basically trained together. Ducard, quote unquote, taught him everything he knows except for what's in his heart. And that's really, that will is the only thing separating Bruce from being the leader of the League of Shadows. And so I really did like just they portrayed it without it being overly heavy-handed because, there was a lot of heavy-handedness in this movie. And this was one that they sprinkle it on at the beginning. They bring it up a little bit at the end. But in reality, it's a very thin line between Batman and Ducard, Batman and his villains, and I really liked how they played that out without hitting the nail over the head, or beating a dead horse, or whatever analogy you want to use.
Sure.
So, what about you? What are your goods?
My goods, I mentioned a little bit before, but I love just the relationships, and kind of going back to what you just said a moment ago about how heavy this movie can get sometimes, and even like this whole trilogy can get. I love the levity amongst Bruce and Lucius and Alfred. They all respect each other. They all genuinely enjoy each other. They all get each other. And just the little funny, like the humorous interactions between them. Like tell them that joke, or when Lucius, like Bruce kind of sees the tumbler tucked in a corner in the science division of Wayne Enterprises. Hey, what's that over there? Oh, that? You wouldn't be interested in that. Like just these fun little reactions to each other, and again, there's even the little line. I think they're on the plane when he's picking Bruce up, from Tibet or wherever. He makes some comment, and Lucius is like, I suppose you can have the keys to the rolls. Just bring it filled up. It's just they can let their guard down around each other. Yeah, they can be each other. It's some of the very very few instances in which Bruce Wayne can just be Bruce. Just the man, without the Bruce Wayne persona, not the Batman persona, the actual human there. My second would be the hallucination sequences. Oh, they're just so awesome. The way they film them and how they differ from one another. Because again, it's basically, as you said before, Oz, it's each character's perception of their worst fears in that moment based on what their senses are telling them right then and there. And, whether it be, like bugs crawling out of Scarecrow's mouth or like black liquid seeping out of Batman's face or a horse breathing fire or, like the blue eyes and like that stuttering camera effect that you mentioned earlier. Oh, it's just so great the way they did that. My last good is Gary Oldman's open mouth acting. His mouth is open a lot in this movie because he's always
You love body acting. Last week was Keaton's eye.
Eyes and torso, yes.
His eye and torso acting.
And this week it's Gary Oldman's open mouth acting. There's a lot of sequences in this movie in which he's kind of bewildered and astonished or sort of reacting to things, and his mouth is open a lot. Like, oh. Oh. Like when he's in the tumbler and it pulls him down into like the weapon sequence. His mouth is open the whole time. Oh,
and it was really cool because we'd seen that sequence once with Batman, who of course knew what was going on, and so he was all for it. But you're right. Like Gordon was like, basically, he was so reluctant to go. Like he had no choice, but he was just like, I don't know what this is doing.
So yes, Gary Oldman's open mouth acting. Oz, what are your two bads for Batman Begins?
I'd mention it. Did you know that this movie was about fear?
I didn't catch on to that at all.
Yeah. No. That's my first. It's just, just the heavy-handedness of this fear theme. From falling down a well to watching your parents get shot to, everything, to the hallucinogens, the whole nine yards. Yeah. Like, okay, this movie's about fear. We get it. It's just... And it's fine. Like, I'm fine with the theme. It just seems so ham-fisted.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Right, like Bruce Wayne sits down in Falcone's bar and Falcone just starts going, fear, that's what I've got. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, okay, I get it. Fear's the driving force of everything, and that's what Batman needs if he's going to succeed.
Don't come in here with your anger. I'm sorry, there's just something
it's fine.
Great about that awful delivery.
Oh, it is. It's terrible, but it's great though. But yeah, that's my first one, is the heavy-handedness of the fear thing. My second one, and we talked about it earlier, is the police interaction with Bruce after his parents were killed. Yeah. Where Gordon basically kneeling down and be like, it's okay. Like,
yeah.
No, he's like, no. He's like, it's okay. As an adult man, I don't live with my parents either, so you'll be fine, Bruce. And then the chief popping in, good news, kid, we got him.
We got him.
like that was Bruce's big thing. Is like, it's awful that my parents died, but it's even worse that he got away. Like, oh, yeah, good news, he got him. So those are my two bads.
Okay.
The heavy-handed fear, and then just the bumbling police interactions with a kid. Like,
Yeah.
It'll be all right. It'll be all right.
Yeah,
kid.
you'd think you'd bring like a social worker in or someone who's trained in how to deal with crisis and trauma and the immediacy and the urgency of that. No, we got him. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to be afraid.
We got him.
That guy that killed your parents, we got him.
Yeah. All taken care of. Woo.
Like Bruce is going to go, whew.
Dodged a bullet that time.
Literally.
Yeah, too soon?
All right, what are your bads?
My two bads, I'm going to go with the first one, more Scarecrow / Cillian Murphy. Arguably my favorite performance in the whole movie. Like, Christian Bale's great. Morgan Freeman, great.
Tom Wilkinson, great.
Tom Wilkinson will come back up here in a moment.
Katie Holmes is great.
Sure, she gave it the old college. She
was fine.
She gave it the old college try.
Yeah, honestly though, I mean, Maggie Gyllenhaal is a much better actress, but I can't say Maggie Gyllenhaal's Rachel Dawes is any better than Katie Holmes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it was, her performance was quite as bad as some people make it out to be. I don't think it was great by any means, but like, it was fine. It was okay.
And it was, and as much as we love Secretary, like, it was not an attractive Maggie Gyllenhaal role. Like,
yeah.
Like, because I felt bad that,
yeah.
for her, that's like, we're going to pitch you here, but we're not going to, and that's okay to then doll her up. I mean, I'm fine with just the naturalistic beauty of things, but, it is what it is. So.
Yeah. But yeah, more Cillian Murphy. He was amazing in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite working actors in Hollywood. That guy's great in everything he does, and I wanted to see more of him just because he's that good. My other bad, yes, Tom Wilkinson.
Didn't see that coming.
Oh man, he was chewing some scenes, Oz.
Yeah.
From the late stage Al Pacino school of acting. like, oh, don't come down here with your anger. Bang! Yeah, bang! Oh no! Oh, I'm sick. Send me to the hospital.
It's like he was channeling his Burgess Meredith penguin impersonation.
Yeah, that's.
But he wasn't the penguin.
No. Oh yeah, Tom Wilkinson. Sorry, man. That was. You've done better work, but not in this movie. Yeah. Not in this movie. No,
that's okay.
Way over the top. All right, Oz. What's your one? Huh?
Yeah, this is fun. How did Christopher Nolan get away with mixing the evil plans of two previous Batman movies?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take basically the microwave emitter dehydrator from Batman 66.
Yep.
And then we're going to take a toxic gas that we're going to spread across Gotham from Batman 89.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to merge those two together, and that is going to be that's going to be the big plan in this movie. And until we talked about it really a couple weeks ago, it was like, I never really even picked up on it until we started talking about it.
Same.
It's 66 and 89, like those evil plans
put together,
into one plan. And but I think by grounding it in some sort of realistic scientific basis, we were like, it didn't feel the same because they explained what that microwave emitter was actually going to be used for. We got a background on where the fear toxin came from, and it's like, but yeah, that's my Haas. It's like, not a whole, I guess, not really an original movie out of Nolan. Then Batman has been done before. The dehydrator toxic gas has been done before. So Nolan, didn't really go back to. He didn't create a new Batman for us. So duped us though. But that's my What's yours?
My is, did we really need the public works exposition guys at the end there?
We did.
Did we really need them? Because I thought by that point it was already established that, okay, they're going to use the thing, use the emitter to, vaporize the water and gas everybody. Oh, no, if the train makes it the way the Enterprise is in the middle of the city, the whole city will go.
But to be fair, I think, and this isn't being derogatory, but I think collars can speak to each other. Like, we got the explanation out of, like, Wayne Enterprises higher-ups. Blue-collar workers made, like, you ain't talking to me. That isn't to me. But then we got the blue-collar exposition coming out of the maintenance guys, and it's like, oh, I didn't even think that was going to happen. Yeah. Okay.
And they had to have like the most Chicago accent guy up there. Like all he was missing was like, hand me my Polish sausage.
Exactly. Chardonnay, Buca de Beppo.
I got a 20 riding on the Bears this week.
Cracky.
I gotta take my car to Victory Auto Wreckers. So yeah, whether or not we needed the exposition guys, they were there. So why not? Why not have some fun with them?
Yeah, why not? Like Tom Wilkinson shouldn't have been the only one that got to chew the scene. So we'll let these guys have their bite.
Gary Fensick was my favorite player on the '85 Bears defense. They don't come tougher than Keith Van Horn.
Oh, man. So you gotta love it. Yeah, whatever. You know, it's like if you're going to be Chicago, you might as well go Chicago.
Might as well go full Chicago.
All right, well, that wraps up week 3 of Batman month.
Yes.
2005 Batman's begins.
Oz, what do we got in store next week?
We are going to wrap up with the latest Batman origin story, the Robert Pattinson's The Batman.
Or The Batman.
The Batman, or Tahi Batman, or whatever. But yeah, Pattinson's The Batman is we'll be rounding or we'll be finishing up Batman month next week with Pattinson's. I've seen the movie. I really liked it. I really did.
I have not yet seen it.
So I'm excited for you to watch it. I've already got the playings of a movie marriage in mind, but I'll of course watch it again. I've watched it somewhat recently, within the last couple of months, but I'll definitely watch it again, with a little bit more critical eye to it. But it was really good. I really liked it. I was a little apprehensive just because it's like another Batman, another origin, another, and then but I think Pattinson catches a bad break. I think everybody ties, the Twilight films to him. But I do think he is a much more accomplished thespian than those movies dictate. And he definitely showcases it here.
Bobby Patts.
As a very broken Bruce Wayne. So I think you'll like it. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. And we will discuss it next week. And so for Let's Talk About Flicks, make sure you guys check us out. We do have a new home. We are hosting our podcast on Anchor FM. Nothing changes for you. Wherever you consume your podcast, everything should be up and running, and you should be able to continue digesting this as you go along. So be as Tom Wilkinson as you like and chew up all our podcasts. We'll still, of course, be on YouTube, and of course, we're still on social media. So we'd love to get more interaction with you guys. We'd love to hear what you guys would like. If there's any topics or themes you'd like to hear, we have had a couple that we're going to try and filter in upcoming months. We got our calendar kind of mapped out a little bit, but I'm sure there's some flexibility somewhere in there.
We can be flexible if our viewers demand.
Very much so. And so, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a shout out. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Of course, we'd mentioned Patreon, but that's just icing on the cake. So, but with that, I guess we're finishing up week 3. We'll be back to finish up Batman month next week with The Batman. And for Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And we'll see you next week.